tarantula goes up against a giant cockroach. It's a battle of the megabugs. Deep in the Costa Rican jungle, something burrows through the leaf litter. A creature that sparks fear and loathing in equal measure. A menacing monster with hooded armor and a 4-inch body. This beast lives up to its title, the giant cockroach.
These cockroaches are the biggest cockroaches on Earth. They're opportunistic, carnivores, omnivores, whatever they can get to eat.
It's a camouflage expert, blending in perfectly with the leaf litter. Large compound eyes wrap around the antennae like alien sunglasses. But for this megabug, sight isn't as important as chemical detection. Kept scrupulously clean, thread-like antennae, almost twice as long as the giant's enormous body, probe the air for telltale smells and air currents. The huge body is defended by hardened wing cases. An armored collar, called a pronotum, shields the head and thorax. Powerful spine-covered limbs rake across opponents' bodies, tearing and ripping their flesh. Would-be predators must also contend with sharp mandibles that hack and slash.
Their mandibles are relatively small, but they're really strong, and they're designed to be able to take apart almost anything that they encounter. When they fight, they'll use their legs, and they can also rip the opponent's legs off, so they can be pretty dangerous.
But today, another bug world titan is on the prowl. A male red-rumped tarantula.
Tarantulas have been around for a very long time, way before the dinosaurs. And everything about them is supersized. Their legs, their bodies, their fangs, and their ability to turn other animals into yesterday's news.
This male's mean enough to play nasty, but against a roach on roids, smart enough to play safe.
That swipe wasn't a predatory act of aggression. It was a defensive swipe driven purely by fear. When tarantulas are threatened, they'll rear up in front of a foe, raising their front legs and flashing their fangs, but biting is usually the last line of defense.
Besides, this male tarantula isn't hunting for food. He's looking for love. But tarantula love is a one-sided affair.
The male red-rumped tarantula is a monster, but the female, that's where the word extreme isn't extreme enough. She's 5 to 6 inches across, positively humongous, and she can live over 20 years.
When a female meets a male, she will either mate him or eat him. Unfortunately, he doesn't know which. For some males, that's just too risky. This big mama doesn't miss much. Her 8 small eyes, grouped close together, provide only poor vision. Instead, she hunts by vibration. Her massive body and legs are covered in long sensory hairs. Hair also forms a unique defense. Beneath the red rump's fiery abdominal hair, tiny barbed strands, called urticating hairs, can be flicked onto an approaching enemy.
They're like fiberglass, so you can imagine if they get into somewhere sensitive or in the eyes, the itching would drive a predator crazy.
This male is prepared prepared to risk his life for a mate, even though she can be the date from hell.
Courting behavior in these spiders is a complex ritual with all sorts of palpable drumming, body vibrations, and leg tapping. You don't just walk up and say, "How you doing?"
The female has one goal, to have her eggs fertilized. Otherwise, the male is just one more piece of meat. Her huge fangs, like daggers, pierce his head.
The fangs are truly scary, up to 1/3 of an inch long in the females and quite wide. Because these are ancient spiders, they're more like ice picks than pinchers. What the tarantulas do is drive the fangs down with incredible force, which opens up massive wounds in the prey's body.
Now her juices start flowing. Digestive enzymes break down her would-be lover. His flesh dissolves. What the male had hoped would be dinner for two is now soup for one. The giant cockroach has intimidated one male tarantula tonight. But what happens when a monstrous female weighs in?
This big female tarantula, she's much less likely to be threatened off just by the size of this cockroach. She's much more likely to take it on. But this is a good-sized cockroach. It could be a real battle, and it could take a really long time.
Nightfall in the rainforest. A giant cockroach lumbers through the leaf litter on a collision course with a female red-rumped tarantula. The tarantula has massive fangs and paralyzing venom. The giant cockroach has sturdy armor and spiked legs that can wound. Which of these megabugs will live to see the sunrise? The cockroach approaches, unafraid. The tarantula is poised to attack. Against any other bug, the battle would be over. But those ice-pick fangs haven't yet found soft flesh. They're hooked on the cockroach's armored collar. The spider's holding on like a rodeo rider on a bucking bronco.
These cockroaches just don't give in. It's putting up an epic struggle. Keeps trying to kick and kick. It's holding on to the ground. It's trying to move forward. Anything that it can do to get away from this tarantula.
The tarantula isn't built to fight a long, drawn-out battle.
Tarantulas have a very primitive form of lungs. While they're capable of great power over short bursts, prolonged struggles are not their forte.
There's another problem, an annoying ant swarm. The cockroach catches a break. But just as it gets off the mat, round 2 begins. A fang plunges through the cockroach's armor. Dozens of mites who made a home under the cockroach's wings start leaving the sinking ship.
This is really a web of life, and you see mites on almost everything. Mites are bloodsuckers.
Now the tarantula sucks the life out of its once mighty opponent. In the bug world, the bigger you are, where you fall. When a spiny spider clashes with a crab spider, it's a case of now you see it, now you die. With her wicked spikes and splashy war paint, the spiny spider is one prickly customer.
These spines are really effective. If you touch them, they're really hard and sharp. These are tough, strong little spiders.
At her rear, enormous twin spikes, black-tipped and hardened, form a vicious V shape. On her back, multiple spikes sprout like devil's horns. For a web dweller, they're the perfect defensive weapons for warding off aerial attackers.
Imagine if you're a bird and you go in, you attack a spider, grab it, and the spines hit the roof of your mouth. This is an anti-predator defense against birds and other mammals with soft palates.
The spiny spider is an orb weaver who stays at home to hunt in a circular web just a few feet off the ground. A trapped horsefly poses no problems for this predator, except maybe for some short-term dizziness.
It's struggling very strongly, kicking and shaking and trying to get out of the web. But the spider is a tough little devil, and what she does is she'll dart in, bite it, and start wrapping the prey up.
Large chelicerae and fangs don't just inject venom. They're serious weapons, able to crush and mangle. Not far from that scene of carnage, another assassin hides out in the open.
The crab spider is a master of subterfuge. Her entire strategy is to be like wallpaper, to blend into the background.
Mottled markings and a gnarled body make the crab spider all but invisible to other bugs. This well-disguised warmonger wastes no energy, remaining motionless until the right moment.
That's a classic crab spider ambush, just sitting motionless, not moving a muscle, until the prey is in range and then grabbing in the one and only movement.
The crab spider and her spiky neighbor might never cross paths. But today, the spiny spider has decided to start demolishing her own web.
At dawn, they start putting up their web, and at dusk, they'll take their web down. And this is largely to replace the glue.
The unwanted web won't go to waste. She devours it, strand by silken strand.
They eat the silk, digest it, and are able to recycle the proteins. 80% get recycled and reused in the next web.
But until she builds a new web, she's exposed and vulnerable. What happens when she runs into a cleverly concealed executioner? In the undergrowth, a spiny spider searches for a suitable spot to build a new web. Unaware that a crab spider is waiting on a chance to strike. The spiny spider has large chelicerae and long fangs that crush. The crab spider has powerful front legs for grabbing prey and fangs for dispensing lethal venom. Which spider will reign supreme? Separated from her silk fortress, practically blind, the spiny spider is at her weakest.
she's not picking up all the vibrations from her web that give her an enormous amount of information.
But the crab spider is perfectly positioned, camouflaged against the branch, waiting for a victim to walk into her trap.
That's the power of sitting still in the bug world. While the other animals aren't noticing you, you're conserving your strength in order to be able to kill them.
The spiny spider walks straight into an ambush.
This crab spider is the master of the ultimate fighting leg lock, and the spiny spider certainly has plenty for her to grab onto.
The crab spider's muscular forelegs wrap around those huge rear spikes. The spiny spider struggles to break free as her enemy probes for a kill shot.
Her exoskeleton is really very hard and hard to break through. She isn't easy to bite in the right place.
Finally, the tiny daggers puncture the outer shell. Venom starts to flow. At the other end, the spiny spider's own fangs, normally such vicious and effective weapons, stab blindly.
The crab spider's venom normally takes prey down reasonably quickly, but the spiny spider is certainly hanging on much longer than usual. The crab spider, however, is more than strong enough to keep a hold until it pumps enough venom in to kill the spiny spider.
If she'd been in her web, she could have taken down that crab spider. But outside of her web, she was really in a bad situation.
Even before the spiny spider succumbs, her attacker starts to feast. Slowly, methodically, the spiny spider has the life sucked out of her. When a velvet worm tangles with a harvestman, it's all-out chemical warfare. On the moist forest floor, an ancient hunter stalks its prey, as it's done for 500 million years. The velvet worm is an all-terrain terror, flowing across uneven ground on hydraulic legs. Each one is tipped with a retractable claw for better grip. Tiny bumps on the body, called papillae, repel water, keeping the worm dry as it navigates its wet, humid world.
Each of the wart-like bumps on its body has a bristle at the tip that acts as a mechanoreceptive sensor. What this means is that the velvet worm is constantly monitoring its environment with its skin.
It looks harmless enough, but the only soft thing about the velvet worm is its name.
They're voracious predators. Velvet worms can grow up to 4 inches, and they can capture animals right up to their own size. This puts a very large amount of different creatures on their menu list.
With a top speed of less than 2 inches per second, it's not able to chase down a meal. But who needs speed when you possess one of the bug world's strangest and most effective long-range weapons? On either side of its head, modified legs called oral tubes fire twin jets of viscous slime. Caught in the sticky blast, the target is immobilized by biological glue.
This slime straitjacket is about 90% water. But as the water evaporates, proteins in the slime start to tangle and form tight chemical bonds. This becomes stringier, stickier, and harder by the second. This is such a cunning natural design.
The velvet worm isn't the only wily fighter in the forest. The harvestman also has a few tricks up its very long sleeves.
You'd think to look at a harvestman that it's a spider, but these guys aren't spiders at all. They don't have venom, they don't have a sting, they don't produce silk. Harvestmen are pretty much characterized by legs.
Those long limbs give it critical clearance in a close fight. And its spiky exoskeleton makes it a tough foe to tackle. And when it comes to victims, the harvestman isn't fussy. Spiked feelers called pedipalps grab and hold the prey, while claw-like mouthparts rip and tear at the flesh. And when under attack, the harvestman wields its own chemical weapon.
The way many harvestmen defend themselves is with stinky glandular secretions that can spray or ooze onto the predator.
When these chemical combatants collide, it's stealth and stickiness versus stench on stilts. In the Central American rainforest, a velvet worm hunts for prey. Close by, a long-legged harvestman is also prowling for food. Neither will back down. The velvet worm has slime guns and razor-sharp mouthparts. The harvestman boasts claw-like mandibles and a foul defensive spray. Which one will live to fight another day?
This contest is between two very different approaches to survival. Strong offense versus strong defense. Heavy weapons versus heavy armor.
With the worm in its sights, the harvestman moves in for the kill.
I think the harvestman has lots and lots of advantages, but it's got to get in close.
But it's too close. The worm gives it both barrels at point-blank range. The harvestman struggles, but thrashing only tightens its slimy bonds. It's the glue from hell.
Now that's what I call chemical warfare. It may go everywhere. Half of it may miss the target, but wow. That is a prey capture technique that's impossible to upstage and very difficult to escape.
The harvestman is in serious trouble.
All it can do at this point is back off and see if it can groom the glue off. But it's nasty.
With its victim pinned and defenseless, the velvet worm switches to safecracker mode, looking for a way into its meal. Like hellish cookie cutters, the powerful mandibles start sawing through the harvestman's armor. Eventually, the worm injects its toxic saliva.
The saliva that the velvet worm is injecting contains mucus and also hydrolytic digestive enzymes that are pre-digesting the food outside of its body, so all it has to do now is sit back and suck it up.
Things don't always turn out the way you'd expect in the bug realm. You can have all the weapons in the world, but slow and sticky often wins the race. When a rufous comb-footed spider takes on a spitting spider, it's the mother of all battles. It has all the appearances of a routine night in the rainforest. A rufous comb-footed spider moves into a new neighborhood. The burden she carries is her egg sac, bulging with the next generation.
Each of these egg sacs may have anywhere from 20 to 150 eggs.
Deciding a dead leaf will make a good home and nursery, the mother-to-be leaves the sac dangling by a silk thread and starts building her new web. With her eggs secure at the top of her new home, her killer instincts kick in again. A wandering termite is the first victim of her deadly silk combing skills.
The comb-footed spider doesn't try to bite the prey until it's really securely wrapped up in the silk straitjacket. And then, once it's wrapped up, she'll come in for a bite. Then she'll hoist the prey up into her web, and there she can feed on it at her own leisure.
As she settles down to dinner, marauding ants crash her housewarming feast. Fearing the ants will make a meal of her eggs, the comb-foot's maternal instinct kicks in. She goes on the attack. Her needle-like fangs administer a venomous coup de grace. Her eggs are safe for now, but the night isn't over. Nearby, another silk specialist is on the move. And far from welcoming the new kids on the block, she'll be spitting with rage.
The spitting spider has venom glands to produce silk as well as venom. So the concoction this girl sprays out is both sticky and toxic. When this spider gets about a ½ inch from her prey, she'll then vibrate her fangs at 1,800 times a second while spraying out this venom-laden silk concoction, coating the prey in a zigzag pattern and pinning it to the ground.
A black-tailed scorpion, out for a takeaway meal, is about to find out how deadly the silky spit can be. The scorpion grabs a leg. Its sting searches for a weak spot, but it doesn't count on a sticky barrage. Traveling at around 70 miles per hour, the toxic silk hits the target and immediately contracts, gluing the scorpion to the tree. With that deadly stinger out of action, the spitting spider moves in for the kill. One bite, and the venom destroys the scorpion's nervous system.
For a spider this small to bring down a scorpion really shows the power of the weapon that she's packing.
This huge meal supplies energy for a new batch of spitting silk, and she will need it. When she finds out the rufous comb-footed spider has moved in next door, there'll be no love thy neighbor.
This is a fight that's bound to end in bloodshed. I'm just not sure whose.
A rufous comb-footed spider settles into her new home. Her one thought is to protect her eggs. But a fully armed spitting spider is about to invade her nursery. The spitting spider fires off toxic silk. The rufous comb-footed spider retaliates with silk wrapping. Whoever wins that battle finishes off their foe with venom. The invader tiptoes across the web. The rufous combfoot is fully aware she has company. She leapfrogs out of spitting range. Her attacker fires, but is off target. The combfoot heads for cover, leaving her eggs exposed.
Even when her own safety is on the line, the rufous comb-footed spiders guard their egg sacs and defend it.
The spitting spider fires again. But with one leg guarding her precious eggs, the combfoot mounts a silk-throwing counterattack. The spitting spider fires back. She keeps firing, but she's run out of silk. Rufus moves in and wraps her opponent in a silk shroud.
Well, that sure didn't go according to plan. The spitting spider picked a fight with the wrong spider on the wrong day, and it's toast.
No matter how formidable your weapon, if you run out of ammunition, you're finished.